I'm talking about dry fasting versus water fasting. Dry fasting, where you're eliminating all food and water, whereas water fasting, you're still keeping water in the equation. So the difference mainly between, of course, a dry fast and a water fast is that you're not consuming any water. But what a lot of people don't know is that 1 day of dry fasting is equivalent to 3 days of water fasting as far as autophagy is concerned and as far as overall cleansing of the cells is concerned. See, there's a Russian doctor named Dr. Filanov who did a lot of research in the world of dry fasting. In fact, I'd go so far as saying he's the one that really pioneered a lot of the science behind dry fasting. And we also have to know there's two different kinds of dry fasting. There's what's called a soft dry fast and what's called a hard dry fast. A soft dry fast is where you still take a shower, you still wash your face, you still brush your teeth. A hard dry fast is where you abstain from any interaction with water, whether it's coming through the dermis or going in through ingestion, because we still do absorb water even when it comes in through the skin. For this case, I'm going to talk simply about a hard dry fast, going all the way balls to the wall. When it comes down to it, dry fasting eliminates toxins faster. Your body has no choice but to start utilizing everything from cells to start creating not just energy in the way of food, but energy in the way of water. See, as soon as you start to get even slightly dehydrated, your body goes into a little bit of a panic mode. It produces more catecholamines, more things like epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, and it gets even more stressed out and tries to find a way to get more water. So it takes any cell that is even remotely useless, cells that are not efficient at all, and it starts breaking them down for food. But it also starts splitting them apart for water. You see, ordinarily when we're fasting, we have something called autophagy that goes on. Autophagy is where your body starts recycling cells in an effort to get energy. It takes the old cells that aren't really being used and it recycles them and creates new ones, or at least processes them and excretes them. With dry fasting, this happens so much faster because the metabolic need is that much more. So in essence, only the strong cells end up surviving. All those weak cells have been consumed by the body. So it's sort of a natural progression that now that you have these strong cells that survived, when it comes time to break your fast and get on with your life, you have a nice influx of strong cells that are able to reproduce. It's like survival of the fittest, but going on in your very own body. You now have a world of strong cells that are able to perform their best. And then you dry fast again, and you recycle once more. Now, the next thing we have to talk about is that the body has its ability to create its own water. You see, if we look at the molecular structure of water, it's pretty darn simple. You have a hydrogen and you have oxygens. Pretty darn simple. Now, when we look at fat in the body, this is where it gets really interesting. Most of the fat that is stored in our body is saturated fat. Saturated fat is saturated with hydrogens. So what ends up happening is when the body is in a dehydrated state, like when you're dry fasting, it takes the fat and it releases the hydrogen gets into your bloodstream, then you breathe oxygen and you create water. You just magically created your own water. And it is the purest, most metabolically efficient water that you could possibly ever have. Not only is it molecularly perfect, but it's also molecularly perfect for your body because you synthesized it. When you drink water from the tap or when you drink water from a spring, it may seem clean and clear, but there are so many other things going on outside the realm of just hydrogen and oxygen, it's not exactly pure. The body has to go through its own detoxification process just to consume that water. When you create your own water, it is super, super pure. That's why when you're dry fasting, you still urinate. People are always dumbfounded why when they fast and they don't drink a lot of water, they actually continue to pee, or anyone that's still eating but not drinking a lot of water still continues to urinate. Well, it's simply because the body is now having this actual metabolically clean water in the system to flush out the dirty water. So you go through a process where you not only are recycling cells, but you're recycling dirty water that could have been flowing through your body as well. Now, theoretically, your body is going to burn more fat when you're dry fasting than in any other mode, simply because it's going to continue to thrive on the hydrogen from the fats. Now, totally last before I go is the world of inflammation. Have you ever seen a swamp that has a lot of water and has a ton of mosquitoes in it? And then 3 months later, when the swamp dries out, there's no more mosquitoes? Well, that's a lot like inflammation in your body too. Inflammation requires water to work. Now, I'm not saying that you go walking around dehydrated all the time, but if you're trying to temporarily reduce inflammation, there's no simpler way than getting rid of water, because inflammation and all the inflammatory responses in your body require water to initiate that. So by having a temporary fast where you're not consuming water, those inflammatory responses and the inflammation within the body shrinks down to practically nothing. Now, be warned, there can be a rebound effect when you do start to hydrate, but for a temporary effect to get away from some pain or to recycle your body, dry fasting might just be the way to go.